Hey, Bill here from Pastured Poultry YouTube channel, and we want to talk a little bit today about the whole topic of pastured poultry versus other ways of raising farm poultry. And you know, we really are passionate about this. Obviously, it's what our YouTube channel is called, and we think that there's a lot of reasons why pastured poultry makes sense. And you know, pastured poultry is actually something that's grown up in the last little while, probably the last half of the 20th century. Kind of in response to what happened historically in the late 19th and early 20th century. You know, America was going through the Industrial Revolution. That whole idea of industrial production was impacting everything, you know, from railroads to automobiles to eventually airplanes. You know, it just revolutionized how we make stuff. And eventually it got to farming too. It revolutionized the way people farmed. And one of the ways that it did that was we went from where we traditionally did do pastured poultry, you know, for hundreds or even thousands of years, and you know, birds were just raised out in the backyard or out in the field, and they were raised in a flock, and that's just how it was, to where they were now raised on big industrial sized farms, you know, so where you could raise 10,000 or 50,000 or 100,000 birds at one time. And it was all about maximizing the output and maximizing the profit and those kind of things. And again, not to get into the debate of whether that's good or bad, you know, there's some good things about that. You know, producing more food is good, those things are good. But what we really lost was that heritage and some of the benefits that came with, you know, raising poultry in a pasture. So, you know, a traditional confinement type style of raising pastured poultry and that kind of thing, or let's say for chickens, for example, that chicken that's raised in a large industrial chicken house or whatever actually lives its life with about this much, if you imagine this kind of a square, so actually less than a foot of living space for its whole life. So it's packed into this thing, it's packed into this house, you know, it lives its whole life there, you know, crammed in there with thousands of other birds, and it actually never has much more than that amount of space per bird to live. And so, you know, we just think, wow, that's probably not the best way to do it. Now, first of all, one of the reasons that's not a good way to do it is because, man, that's just a breeding place for disease. You know, and that's why they have to give, you know, these industrial raised animals lots of antibiotics and lots of medicines and stuff to keep that disease down. You almost couldn't design a better place to produce animal-borne diseases than to cram them all into a little house and you know, just leave them there for a couple weeks. So we feel that doing pastured poultry limits a lot of that. You know, it allows the animals a lot of space to live. It allows the animals, you know, to be more healthy, to not be so cramped up together. And obviously there's an ethical element to that, you know, but just practically it makes for healthier birds, you know, and healthier animals. And so that's one of the reasons we believe that, you know, pastured poultry is a good thing. Another thing that we think is that, you know, it actually does produce healthier animals in the long run. You know, a lot of our culture now, you know, we're trying to be conscious about the foods that we eat. We know that we are what we eat. And, you know, we're trying to be conscious of things like fat. And when we raise our animals on pasture, so pastured turkeys, pastured chickens, pastured beef, whatever it would be, we actually produce a much leaner meat than, you know, what's raised in an industrial style system. In that system, it's all about the weight gain, and the easiest way to do that is to pack on the fat. Well, that's not always the best for the humans that are eating that. And so we feel that pastured poultry actually produces a more healthy animal, both from, you know, an immune system or ability to fight off disease, healthier that way, but also a more healthy, leaner meat for the humans that ultimately consume it. And you know, we also feel that doing pastured poultry kind of harkens back to the old days. It kind of connects us back with how the animal originally lived. And you know, we feel that, you know, that is the best way to raise the animal. It's going to get the best food, you know, that way it's going to be able to pick through and get different nutrients from the pasture and things, as well as whatever feed you feed it. But we really feel that if you raise the animal, you know, closest to the way that it was meant to be raised, or the way that it was meant to live, it's going to produce the best product in the end. And so, you know, there's lots of other reasons. We'll probably talk about more of them here on this channel of why pastured poultry is good. We also want to let you know that if you want to get started in pastured poultry, we say, hey, that makes a lot of sense, and I want to get some chickens from my backyard and just raise them in the yard, or if I want to try my hand at pastured poultry, we want you to know that we're a resource for that. You can message us here on YouTube. You can go to our website at hilandnaturals.com. You can call our office. You can find all the numbers there. We'll help you out. We will help give you some advice on how to get started with pastured poultry and get you started right.